Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? Jeremiah Davis, CEO of Business Funding Now, and Davis Thorpe and Associates. I want to thank you guys for chiming in for this weekly live. We try to give out some nuggets, some benefits. I'm trying to stay consistent with all the craziness going on. Today I have with me my friend, my brother, Andre Coakley, CEO of 360 Credit 360 Credit Repair, and he's the author of An Attempt to Repair America's Broken Credit System. Um, it's on Amazon. It's an Amazon bestseller list, so go out and get that. And we're going to talk about how to start and grow your business during a pandemic and social injustice. Now, we're not going to dive too far into this political arena, but not all of us. Some of us need some help getting through this. So, how you doing, Dre? What's up, man?
I'm doing good, doing good. I just want to thank you also, Jeremiah, for allowing me to be on your great platform, Business Funding Now.
Thank you, man. I mean, I miss you. I'm used to seeing all my friends at events 2-3
I know, right?
times a year, and we ain't had an event in a minute, so got cabin fever. But it's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well. So let's just dive into this, man. We started off the year. Everybody had lofty goals. I know I did, and I'm still, we're still on track. But the pandemic threw a curveball. Now we got, this thing going on in conjunction with the pandemic. How you doing? How your business doing?
Actually, my business is we haven't really seen a decrease in business since the pandemic, which is a blessing within itself. However, we actually had to wind up changing with the times. As you see, I'm here in my office. It's a brick and mortar. And one of the benefits or caveats of our business was that our clients can come in, and actually touch, feel, smell the office. However, now with this pandemic, that's the last thing a consumer wants to do. They don't want to see the office. So it's just about trying to find ways to convert the brand to digital, online services, how to effectively do that. And also, just still be able to provide that, that customer service, customer experience throughout the process.
Yeah, I know that's one of your expertise is that customer experience, and we're going to touch on that also. But I want to let the audience know, because it's something I admire so much about you is your work with the youth. And you go into schools, you're teaching. You tell us how long you been doing it? What are some of the things that you cover, and what's the motivation and the goal?
The motivation and goal is to get my brand out in front of individuals who most likely would not look at my brand for what we do, because we're in a credit repair business, right? When most people hear credit repair business, they hear fraud, they hear fraudulent, they think scammy. So my job is to do everything to get over that hurdle. So we know that there's populations out there that if I can align myself with these populations, it winds up giving me social proof with other individuals. And some of those populations we know are kids, elderly, and also the abused, right? Women who might have been, part of domestic violence. If we can find ways to serve those consumers, but also find ways to document it via video or by photographs, but you use these actually tools to get in front of consumers and let them know that you're a community-based brand. All right. Nobody wants to spend money with someone who they feel is taking advantage of people, because you feel eventually they will take advantage of you, right? So we just use, and it's not really, don't get me wrong, let me back that up. I have a passion for teaching kids. It ain't all about the money, right? However, teaching kids the highest credit score, teaching kids the lowest credit score, teaching kids that, hey, credit report is a report card of how you pay your bills. Is something that's very impactful, because we're able to get to these kids before society gets to them. Society, social media, all these things, they have factors that wind up kind of normally deterring kids from doing the right things financially. Unfortunately, social media and these platforms are normally, how can I say this? They co-sign on being extravagant spenders, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So we just want to kind of get in front of, these kids, let them know that, hey, you know what? You need to understand that this is going to catch up with you later on. We need to get away with that instant gratification mindset. And just try to, pour into our youth, because they are our leaders of tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's vitally important to teach our kids as early as possible financial literacy and responsibility. Because I mean, I don't think I'm an exception, but I ain't get started having the right discipline until I went into my mid to late 30s or 20s to 30s, early 30s. But and then even not realize I had what credit was, or let alone buying a car or house, or now even getting an apartment. Credit affects everything, and so I just admire that about you, that you got a passion for it, but it's something that should have been taught in schools anyway, in my opinion. That these fundamentals of life that we go through. So how long you been doing that? How long you been going into?
Actually, we've been doing that now for actually about 10 years. And just to kind of give you an idea how we leveraged it, I have a for-profit credit repair company. Nobody wants to let a credit repair company talk to their kids, right? They do, but they don't. They feel like it's a little bit biased. Okay. However, I have a nonprofit organization. It's a 501c. It's called Community Works Coalition, and we use the nonprofit organization to get in front of larger organizations. Then, therefore, when people need individual services, we push them over to the actual for-profit side, which is Credit 360. So you try to use a nonprofit brand to get in front of consumers that would normally push away from the credit repair space.
That opens a lot of doors for you.
Most definitely. A lot of times it allow us to make alliance with politicians. Actually state representatives. We're doing an event tomorrow for the actually a community-based event. We're doing a bike ride, a unity bike ride where we're heading to try to get 1,000 bike riders just to take a little 5-mile bike ride for unity, which is not a protest. It's just a family event just to show unity and to stand behind, our rights.
Yeah, I see you post on that. That's a great idea. To find other ways to bring us together than protest.
And just as a caveat, what do you think that also does for my credit repair business as well, right? It still puts the credit repair brand in front of all these people who have no idea about credit repair, but for the simple fact they're all for the cause. Now that transference of trust for the cause actually transfers over to the brand.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, growing your audience and getting more people, getting your business exposed to more people. That's all. We all need that, right? We all need to grow our audience and reach more people. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. Business is going well during the pandemic. It's not fair. We're not going to ignore it. There is a situation in our country that's been going on for, in my opinion, 401 years, as some would say. And we all have our stories, and I'm not going to turn this into a political thing about race or anything, but it affects everybody. It affects me. It brought up a lot of memories from my youth and growing up, and all the racist encounters I've had in my life, and it's traumatic. It's emotionally draining and traumatic, and you can't run away from it, and you can't get away from it. And a lot of people don't know that this is something that we live with on a day-to-day basis. Just being pulled over by the police, or just being judged in the store. And we are successful businessmen, educated. We work with our communities. We try to help people, but we walk in a store, we get profiled, and we got somebody following us, knowing most likely we got more money than they got, our security guard, and we ain't got to steal nothing. But I just want you to speak on that. And how are you feeling? What's going on with you? We don't want to get into politics of it, just the humanity of it.
It hurts to see any man, I don't care what color, die in front of you if you're a man of compassion and a man of faith, as I am, right? So just to see that take place, it's disheartening. However, and I don't even want to say on the bright side, on the other side, because there's no bright side of this. On the other side, we need to put ourselves in position to put people who align with the same alignment that we feel when it comes to equality, right? And that goes down to, I think, a basic principle of voting, right? We got to stop the systematic change of putting people in office who necessarily don't, who don't feel the way we feel about equality. All right. And again, it's kind of hard not to talk about it without trying to talk about the emotional side of it. Yeah. And, I see you set the table very well of saying this is not going to be a political debate, which I get it. However, we got to get out there and vote, guys. If there's anything I can say, and it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, what religion you are, there should be some quest for all of us to feel that there should be equality amongst all men.
Right. And I'm a piggyback off of that, because we don't. It's not like you want anything extra. We just want to be treated the same, or not mistreated any differently. And that seems to go over some people's heads. This isn't normal. This isn't right. Especially if we are Christians or whatever religion. Most religions believe in humanity and equality. And I'm a Christian, so the Bible is very clear on loving your neighbor and your enemy. So
and your enemy, that's big, and your enemy.
Yeah, well, it ain't easy.
Right.
It is not easy, but we don't. It's not reciprocated back in some cases, and as we're seeing, everything's coming to the forefront. But I'm just going to put this out there: is that this isn't nothing new for us, right? We've seen this time and time again. It seems there's a population of the world that's now waking up to it or now recognizing it. I don't really understand how they didn't see it before and now they see it now, but I am grateful for those who are sick and tired of it, as we are sick and tired of it. And I hope real change does come out of it. But let me segue into this freedom concept, because I didn't know, and maybe, and I'm going to mention this. June 1st was my 6-year anniversary as a business owner, right?
Congratulations.
It was just 5 years to the day that I walked away from the 6-figure corporate job that I had, and I've been pretty much, like I call it, without a safety net ever since. And then I look back and I'm like, oh wow, I've been, I made it without the safety net. There was a couple of times where I thought, man, I'm gonna have to get this up and go get a 9-to-5. But then I'm thinking, man, I'm kind of older, and I'm like, But I would say my God guided me to don't give up, don't abort the mission, don't give up, stick in there. He said, I'm gonna take care of you, and it got me through that about a year of making less than I needed to survive. But hey, I didn't miss a meal, obviously, and I had over my head, and I was still on our circuit that we travel on, and speaking to people, meeting people. So, and now things are picking up. Business is really picking up now. But part of our mission, your mission, you spoke about going into schools, and my mission is to help as many people as I can become entrepreneurs. Now, let me ask you this: is everybody? See, how would I phrase it? Is everybody capable of being an entrepreneur, in your opinion?
Everybody capable. I think everybody is capable of being an entrepreneur if the mindset is pushing them to say that they are capable. But if the mind is not saying they're capable, I don't think the physicality behind it will ever follow.
Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
Everybody is not built to be an entrepreneur.
Not by any means.
This is, and a lot of people think that I encounter, and just in life in general, especially in this day and age, everybody's looking for the shortcut. How to get to A to Z without going through the rest of the alphabet. And I've learned that there's nobody that's going to do it for you, right? Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to put in the time, blood, sweat, and tears into your business to make it a success. Okay. Somebody hit me up today asking for free coaching. They just started a credit repair business, and he was like, well, can you help me? First of all, they solicited me and said they wanted to fix my credit for free. And I said, well, must not know who I am. Right, so that's 2 strikes, because people you don't know on social media asking to fix their credit without knowing, having any knowledge of them. And after I told him who I was and how long I've been in the credit repair space, he switched gears and said, well, can you help me?
Right.
You need a credit repair coach. And he's like, yeah, but they blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I have 3 businesses. I don't have the time to coach you for free. Okay, you're looking for the in round. You got to put in that time. If that means reading your book or all the other books that are out there on the topic, and not just the credit repair books, all business related books that and then implementing them. So I know you do some coaching. Give me a couple of pointers of what do you tell your people that come to you for the coaching service, as well as what is the biggest issues that you face?
Right. So, so I think the biggest hurdles, number one, when it comes to coaching is it's more the personal issues. I coach more personality than I do business, right? I got to get the personality and mindset in line before I can even get the business in line. And just for example, you're just giving your story and I'm kind of going to tie it in. When I first started my credit repair business back 7 years ago, I was scared to let anybody know that the business was African American owned.
Yeah.
I was scared to put my skin color on the actual brand of the business because I thought it would contaminate and tarnish the brand. Now, during the time when I was doing it, I thought I was doing the best thing for the brand. However, probably about 4 years into my business, I said, I can't keep going on like this. I got to eventually show my face, and they either gonna like it or they're not gonna like it. And that was a personality trait that was affecting the brand. It had nothing to do with the brand, my business aspect. That was something how I felt based off of my personal experiences growing up in life, how I've been called out of my color, how I've been treated differently because of my color. So at the day, I just want that equal opportunity. Therefore, I had people branding my business who did not look like me at all. To the point where I had people who look like me saying, well, why do you represent a business that doesn't look like you? But then I tell them I own the business, and that's even a bigger insult.
Oh, wow. Man, that is huge right there. I'm glad you mentioned that because I went through the same thing. So I have 3 businesses, and I'm not going to go into all of it right now, but the one business, I did not want me to be the brand. Because I didn't want to, I felt like you did. It would segment a portion of the population, and I don't. That's not necessarily not true, but it's not a reason not to rep your company.
Right.
And as far as for those of you who are on watching and you're just started, all right, or maybe you haven't been in business for a couple of years and you're still just stuck, this is the type of stuff that coaches will provide you is a pass. It's just like football, right? The coach called the play, you run it. You got to execute the play. So that's something you got to experience it for yourself. It's like you own it and get out there and don't let fear conquer you. So what are some other stuff that on the flip side that people come to you as a coach and they might not have the right expectation? What are your experiences with that?
I think a lot of the expectations, as you kind of touched on it before earlier, was the execution aspect of it. Like, don't get me wrong, I can hand you the whole playbook, right? But if you don't execute the playbook as the play was written, now you can still execute, but did you execute it as if it was written in the same time sequences, in the same actual sequences that it was written in? Now you're actually following it per se, but you might not be following it per se if you're not following in the same time sequence as it was written. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're not going to do it for them?
Not going to do it for you, but I will give you the path of least resistance. And I remind, anybody who goes to a coaching program, you're just paying me for the mistakes that I've made to tell you not to make those same exact mistakes, right? If anything, I'm trying to tell you what not to do versus what I'm trying to tell you what to do, all right? When I coach a business, I never coach them on how much money I made. I always coach them on how much money I lost doing something stupid, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Because if we can stop the losses, everything can be a gain from that standpoint.
Yes, I think that's one of the key points because I'm sure you like me, we've lost money. making mistakes the hard way. You know, maybe choosing a cheaper thought. It looked like a cheaper route, but it got us nothing. You know, then we have to go back and reinvent the wheel and put more investment into the same thing to get those results we didn't get trying to be cheap or, you know, taking a shortcut. So that, yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, and it's a constant learning process, right? Because the longer you're in business, the more challenges that you have to overcome, new challenges you have to overcome. What is some advice that you give somebody trying to start a business right now?
I think this is actually probably one of the best times to start the business, whether you know it or not. People don't know during economic downfalls or challenging times is the best time to start a business. Number one, there's less competition for resources, right? For the simple fact there's less competition out there, now there's a bigger pool for you to actually be able to actually fish into, or bigger lake or pond for you to fish into. There are less fishermen out there, right? Yep. So this is when you should actually be going out there trying to do as much as you can to excel your business while some people are on pause or actually downshifting their brand, all right? Mm-hmm. The other thing is, whenever we face a negative situation, if you can bring up ways, now this is a negative situation for everybody. Everybody's feeling this pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. If you can find ways to serve people after pandemics, after recessions, after depressions, that's when we've seen the most economic booms after times of failure, right? But it's those who are preparing during the time of failure who are going to be the ones who catapult during that boom, right? So this is when you should be suiting up your business. This is when you should be trying those techniques and strategies that might have been a little bit questionable to do 8 weeks ago because we're in normal times, but now because we're in volatile times, now you can actually change things up a little bit and be a little bit flexible to try to figure out how you can provide services. We don't realize after 9/11, right, what took place. That's when the internet boom took place, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. After the recession of 2008, what took place? That's when Uber, that's when ride sharing, rental property, purchasing without ownership. So now we're getting to a point where people want to acquire things, but not necessarily have ownership of it, right? Right. We have to understand that the times are changing. At one point, everything was ownership. You got to own a house. You got to own a car. Now the mindset is, hell, I don't need to own it. I can rent it for a day, pay a portion of it. Now I don't have to pay for all these other days when I don't drive my car. Yeah, that's good. Or insurance or maintenance or gas or all those things associated with ownership. Right. But that business would not have taken the boom if it weren't for the actual if it wasn't for the actual 2008 recession. Yeah, the crisis that created a whole bunch of new millionaires and entrepreneurs. That's awesome. That's a really good. I never even thought of it like that, but you're absolutely right. This is the time, and that's what I'm trying to tell our audience is you being in credit repair, me being in funding, they go hand in hand. You need good credit. Good credit gives you access to so many things. To start a business, personal loans, business loans, credit cards, so if you're in a position and your credit isn't what it needs to be, this is the time to get it fixed. Or if you do have good credit and you've just been on the fence and scared to start a business, this is the time to do it. Or if you've been in business and you need to figure out how to transition in these volatile times, this is the time to maybe get some assets, some credit, or some funding to transition to a more online or a delivery service, whatever your business type is. You got to change it because the people are not coming to you unless you have, So I have customers who are in the online business and they're like, Andre, my sales have gone up 400%, right? So It just depends on what side of the spectrum you are, right? Now, this is people who, 2 or 3 months ago, they were crying about being broke, right? Yep. Now they're like, okay, well, what do I need? I need to find another place to put this money now, right? Because they're making it hand over fist, and they have lesser overhead because it is an online world right now, right? So we see major corporations that are becoming defunct. My local mall is behind in their mortgage payment, right? So we have to kind of be very careful in understanding that this is affecting not only small level, but big brand, and you have to be able to adapt. Unfortunately, I grew up being a Toys R Us kid. But guess what? My son's son will never be a Toys R Us kid because they couldn't adapt to the actual online world that Amazon wind up taking away from their brand.
Yeah, that's key. Okay, so what do you see as some of the up and coming trends? I mean, I see so much stuff. I tell the story a couple of weeks ago that I have a friend that has a client. She does marketing, SEO stuff, and she had a client that last year was only doing maybe $20,000 a month. And I'm not telling you what they sell yet.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward during this time, in the last 2 months, they've exceeded over $100,000 a month in sales. And it's a combination of her doing her job and then people being stationary, but still want the product. The product is chrome polish.
What is it?
Chrome polish.
Chrome polish.
So for like motorcycles, RVs, semi truck drivers, it blew up in their faces like overnight, and they had to scramble to figure out how to adjust and fulfill the orders. But it's an awesome problem to have, right?
Exactly.
Problem. My point to that is find something like that man, it could you just never know the people will respond to it, right? I would have never thought a product like that would make over $100,000 a month, and it was like perfect timing,
Right.
The pandemic, and all of a sudden, they were struggling to get sales. Now they can't keep up with it.
It's just like bicycles, right? Prior to the pandemic, bicycles were, being phased out completely to the point where they were making electronic bicycles, right? To the point where, like, there's no such thing as you just being manual on that bicycle. However, because of the pandemic and exercising now being on the forefront, now you can't go to your local store and pick up a bicycle because they're sold as soon as they hit the rack, right? So here you have the bicycle, right, which almost became extinct because the vehicle came along, right? You got a car. Back in the days, our grandparents were riding bicycles to work, right? Now you don't see a grandparent ride the bicycle nowhere to work, right? However, now because vehicles took possession of it. But it's funny how things can kind of regurgitate and circle back around full time to the point where bicycle manufacturers can't make enough bicycles right now.
Yeah, and they cost more now. I was looking at one for myself, and I'm like, how is this little regular bike that would have cost $100 a year ago? It's $500 now. I'm like, what? It's all supply and demand.
Supply and demand, at the end of the day. And I can't blame them, right? Because if I was the bicycle company, my bike might cost $600, not $500, right? So it's all about supply and demand.
Definitely. So that would lead me to the question I wanted to ask you. What type of industries do you think would be good to get into this right now?
Anything that's online in today's time. Unfortunately, we're going away from which this is going to be kind of funny to kind of figure this out in the future, because we're going away from, or throughout time, and as we run through these type of pandemics, which this is probably going to be something that kind of happens a lot more periodically now. It's not just going to, you understand, as we go through these times, like, it's going to be like the medical field, anything in medical. Like, I know nothing about a respirator, right? However, during the time of the pandemic, because I had a line of credit and somebody reached out to me like, hey, I know these people, they got respirators. You can buy them. You can possibly get in the loop of things and you can resell them for this amount of price. I'm doing research on respirators.
Wow. Yeah.
I know nothing about the medical field. I don't even know how they work. However, at that time, I'm seeing an actual need, right? Supply and demand. And you know what? Can we possibly help, solve this issue?
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
But time is also very key, because if I buy respirators right now today, as the demand is diminishing, now I'm holding on to something that I might not be able to get rid of either. Yeah. However, when you make these decisions in sometimes business, you have to make them split second. And most entrepreneurs I know, there ain't no safety net. The safety net is their head hitting the bottom of the ground. That's the safety net.
That's right.
There's no such thing, and I see this on every levels. I have clients who were financially comfortable 6 weeks ago. Money wasn't an issue. At the end of the day, they come in here, kiki smiling, blah, blah, blah. They came in here within the last week, 2 weeks, frustrated, sick, totally different mindset, because you know what? They know their whole life has changed forever.
Wow.
It's just not the pause button. The stop button has been hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and these are people who run affluent businesses.
Yeah.
All right. However, they know their businesses will be changed forever. I look at places like Disney World, right? Where we used to die to take our kids to Disney World and Disneyland. Now we're hesitant to let our kids touch anything at Disney World, right? Because we don't know, there's 1,000 fingerprints all over Disney World, right? So the times are changing to the simple little things where, unfortunately, life is going to become unpersonable, which it was already we're already separating from that. And this does not make that side any better from my standpoint.
You're absolutely correct. We was already going down that path with the social media, not being interacting face to face. And that's, why I love the events that we go to so often, because, you just, we become friends, and you want to see your friends, you want to hang out, we go kick it, things of that nature. But now we're doing,
all day, right? And all type of
yeah. And I've seen a whole plethora of products, from a lot of digital products, from everything from advertising to, grow your brand, voiceover software to, everybody's selling some type of ebook for diet. I've seen probably a dozen different keto ebooks selling for anywhere from about $66, for an ebook that you just download. Now, I'm not buying it, but somebody is. Somebody's buying it because they're advertising on social media. It's in my newsfeed, because I try to stay on the keto diet as much as possible. But, then you got them algorithms. They know what you're doing. They know what you're looking at. But the point is, online fitness. That had a little surge a few years ago, but now it's really booming, right? Yeah. And you might only charge $5 a month, $10 a month for that service. But if you got 100 people, paying you every week for $10 to get a workout, man, I mean, you become a millionaire, or at least, financially comfortable.
Exactly. And so, even like when you say that, because book sales spiked during the pandemic. More people have more flat time to to think, and book sales went up. So it's just about putting putting your lines in the water. If you're a fisherman, you want to have multiple lines out there, not just one line, right? And some lines might be trying to catch a smaller type of fish. Everything's not going to be the big fish, right? Sometimes you just need to get other fish to bait with those fish, right? Yep. So everything is not just for edible purposes. You might need to kind of repurpose that to get you in front of a bigger crowd, or a bigger or a bigger sell item. Yeah.
Offer a different product to transition into your main product or what have you. But I mean, like I come back to, if you're able, you still got a roof over your head, you still got food in the refrigerator, you're still taking care of yourself. Take that little extra that you may have to invest in yourself, invest in improving your credit, invest in and expanding your knowledge base as far as starting a business or growing a business. What some advice, like you said, you got some clients that 6 weeks ago were thriving and now they're not. What kind of business advice do you have for those businesses that are just kind of stagnant? They haven't went out of business, but sales are different. They need help transitioning.
You got to do what you haven't been doing that makes you uncomfortable. Because the thing that you've been making that has been making you uncomfortable is the thing you've been lacking in your business. That's the reason why you haven't been doing it, right? So I tell people all the time, the 2008 recession, I was suicidal. I was a mortgage broker during that time. I was making, great 7 figures, easily, just coming out of college, working as a mortgage broker. The recession I went from making over 7 figures to making $30,000 a year, working twice as hard, probably 3 times as hard as I was when I was making the 7 figures, right? Well, excuse me, the 6 figures. I said 7 figures. I was making 6 figures. Let me correct that. I was making 6 figures. All right. However, going through the recession was probably the best thing for me, right? Because I knew what hell felt like at that point. I wasn't scared anymore of falling because I knew how all the people turned on me. I knew how the people who said, yeah, I'm with you, how they weren't going to be with me. I knew what to expect from there moving forward. So being rock bottom and not having anything, I remember I was sitting in my garage one day. I had, my mom, she'll die if she hears this story, but, I had I'm a firearm enthusiast.
Yes.
I had a Raging Bull 454 revolver in my hand, thinking about committing suicide, right? Because I was the guy who everybody went to for money. I was the mortgage guy, right? All my friends, man, when they needed money, Dre, help me find the bank, help me find the lender, let me borrow the money, whatever it may be. That was me. Now, here I was the guy who didn't have money. I didn't have credit. I was losing my marriage. I had a wife going through breast cancer during the time. Being in our early 30s, dealing with breast cancer, going through reset. It was real rough during that time, right? And I was in the garage sitting in my Infiniti truck. I can remember just like yesterday. And I had the gun in my hand. I was thinking about, you know what? Did I just do it? Is it worth it? Wow. However, I used that actual testimony today as realizing, Dre, you know what hell feels like, brother. Right? Yeah. So there's nothing that you haven't. And I think of it as like a war vet, right? It's the rookie, and you're military, right? Yeah. So it's that rookie who's the first time he's going to war. That's scary as hell. Yeah. Right? But then you got this veteran. He can't wait to get back to that crap. Right? He can't wait. Yep. His lifestyle is part of that, right? And that winds up being me today. And, as you say, business has those peaks and valleys. And even as a successful business owner with 10 employees, I'm still sometimes thinking about going back to a wage earner job, right? And it's not necessarily because of the money aspect of it, because sometimes you don't want to always have to make every damn decision. Yeah. Right? When you're a business owner, there's nobody you can say, you know what, well, you handle it. You know what? You got to handle it. Right? And there's no pause button in life. And the time when you normally want to hit the pause is when life is hitting fast forward on it. Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's an awesome testimony. I learned something about you today. Wow. But you're absolutely right though, because my entrepreneur story isn't like that, bad, but those thoughts, it's the thoughts that having no security to drive you crazy, and that's what I was going through for a whole year is doing everything you can and then looking at the next shiny object. I was Googling work at home jobs, real ones. I ain't trying, sell no MLM or all the whatever else you got going on, but something then it'd be like, you can't do that because you got a trip in the next 2 weeks. You got to be on a plane. And there's nobody that's going to give you a job and allow you to keep the traveling like we travel. Exactly. And I just, and I contribute to my faith that the Holy Spirit was like, no, just you better stick on this, just keep this. And I'm grateful that I did because, and we're about to wrap this up, but the freedom of being your own boss, the entrepreneurship. Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of late nights. You can't rely on nobody else but yourself for a lot of things. And that's what distinguishes those who persevere and those who don't. Is you do not, you can't quit. You can't go. There's nobody to go to cry to. And dealing with all the stuff that's going on in the world, I believe being an entrepreneur is one of the most freeing things that anybody can do, right? You mentioned voting when we first started it. Voting is essential. So is being a business owner. So is writing your own check. So is dictating your own destiny. That is freedom, and I think it's all the above. Those things will get you a better quality of life, especially us being Black men in America.
business owners, educated, dealing with certain things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. But I've never felt more freer than I have as in the last 5 or 6
years. Just piggyback on that. And you said educated, and it's not to demise what you said. I just want to make sure that they're clear, right? Even when I talk to certain individuals, I have some business partners who are uneducated, right? However, when we're on these platforms and we're working together, guess what? We make the same amount of money, right? So it ain't all about being educated, right? When it comes to entrepreneurship, some of the individuals who I know who are educated know nothing about entrepreneurship. And I have some friends who are totally street educated, and they are nothing but pure entrepreneurs, right? So you have to find that balance is what I'm trying to say as well, all right? But there's no such thing as you have to be educated to be an entrepreneur.
Not at all. Not at all. And I was speaking to the stereotype.
Exactly.
Just for those who may be watching, is that we get stereotyped as being thugs or being uneducated, or being ghetto, or just whatever, anything that would than what we are, until we speak, until you get to know us and you see, oh, they're different, but it shouldn't be like that.
I'm laughing because when I'm in my Nike shirts and my Jordans and my sweatpants, right? It's how I am perceived and how I'm spoken to and how I'm received by individuals versus when they see me in a shirt and tie or a 3-piece suit, or I'm getting ready to walk into a meeting, or I'm stepping on the stage talking to 200 or 300 individuals. The difference of respect and level of respect is totally different. And I know it's only because of what they feel is a hierarchy in the individual because of what they're able to perceive based off of appearance.
Exactly. The old saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yep.
I mean, the reason we have the saying is invalid. Okay, you shouldn't have to create a saying that don't judge a book by its cover if you wasn't judging the book by a cover.
Right.
Right. If you judge a man by the content of his character, that's But hey, brother, I want to thank you. I think this was an awesome discussion. We'll have to do it again. But for all those that are watching, how can they get a hold of you? Say they want your services, your coaching, or your credit repair services. Maybe they, want you to come speak as a nonprofit with your nonprofit to educate some youth or some people. How can they get a hold of you or find that information?
That's a whole lot of brands I'm about to throw at y'all. All right, let me plug them in. Let me plug them in, y'all. No, I'm just well. For the book, number one, if you guys want to find the book, An Attempt to Repair America's Broken Credit System, that's it right here. Let me let you see the cover. And you see Jeremiah was one of the first individuals to buy my book. And he just didn't buy this because of this, right? He said, Andre, no, I want to buy the book. I want to support. And he's like, I'm like, here, you can have it for free. He's like, no, I want to support. I don't want nothing free from you. I want to pay for it. So I just want to say I appreciate everything that you've done for me. But you can find the book on Amazon, or you can go to AndreCoakley.com. The name of the spelling of my name is right there on the actual page, AndreCoakley.com. Or for credit repair services, you can find me at www.credit360.biz. Or if you are looking for any type of business coaching, you can reach me on my website at www.my7figures.com. www.my7figures.com. Feel free. I love you guys. I'm here for you. I'm not, I love to answer questions. I love to assist. So if there's anything that you guys need, feel free to reach out. Shoot me a little message on Facebook. I do answer messages as well.
All right. Thank you, Andre. And for those who want to talk to me about anything funding or any of my other services, you can go to businessfundingnow.com or davisthorpe.com. That's Davis and then THORPE.com. And book an appointment, and I'll help you as much as I can. But we love you, and stay safe, and pray your way through whatever you got to do. To this too shall pass, and I hope and I pray that America as a whole comes out the better for it. I do think it will. I just it's time for some changes. But we love you. Thanks. And we'll
Go out
talk
there
to
and
you.
vote, y'all. Vote, vote, vote.
All right.
Y'all.
All right.